Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's info session on marine engineer management technology. Let's get started. Jalasi, welcome. NSCC is located in the Mi'kma'ki, the unceded territory and traditional homeland of the Mi'kmaq Nation. Our relationship is based on a series of peace and friendship treaties between the Mi'kmaq Nation and the Crown dating back to 1725. As treaty beneficiaries, we recognize that we are all treaty people. NSCC recognizes the African Nova Scotians as part of a distinct group who arrived here 400 years ago. From that time on, they have contributed to the infrastructure and economic wealth of the towns and cities they helped to build, but from which they could not benefit. Let us learn more about how our respective communities were shaped by the historical contributions of the African Nova Scotians to Mi'kma'ki. And welcome to the info session. So there is a question box where you can pop your questions in and we'll have them answered at the end of the session. And we look forward to hearing from you if you have any questions during the presentation. With us today is Raj, a lead faculty for the Marine Engineering Technology program, and myself, Jessica Lang, the student recruitment coordinator. Now I'll turn it over to Raj.
Yeah, thank you, Jessica. I welcome you all for this webinar presentation for the Marine Engineering Management Technology. So before I go and discuss about detail of this particular program, I would like to tell you about what is about this marine engineering, and then we can go further on onto it. So marine engineering is basically people will be working on board as an operational engineers. So they will be have to be on board of a ship. They will be doing some maintenance. They'll be also doing operation part. So that is professionally is going to be a marine engineer is going to be on board. So mostly they can do a coastal vessels or they can be on international waters. So depending upon where the ships are there, the marine engineers normally sail along. Okay, now we'll come back to this particular program. This marine engineering management technology is 1.5 years advanced diploma program. In this, we'll be studying more about electronics, electricals, control engineering, steam, and motor, and all kind of aspects of the engineering. And this is like it's 1.5 years program, and this is like if you go on to what are the requirement of this, like it's a full-time course, so people have to be in location, and this course has been conducted in Straight Area campus of NSCC in Port Hawkesbury. And what is a prerequisite for this particular program is a marine engineering technology diploma or a certified officer. Say it can be a fourth engineer or anybody, and they should be having a sailing experience of 6 months. Sailing experience means people have to be on board of a ship of 6 months period. Then only they are eligible for this particular course to join and enroll. And the same thing is applicable for the same international students, but then they do have to do a separate thing for their eligibility for their English language and requirements. Apart from that, the remaining everything remains the same. So they should be also either they should have done a marine engineering technology program, or they should be a certified engineer of officer in charge, and then with 6 months of period. So let's go further more onto it. Like this is like once you go on, why you are talking about marine engineering? Marine engineering, what are all the aspects we are going to study on this? So marine engineers normally we study about all the mechanical aspects of the engineering, and we'll be studying about electrical, electronics, pneumatics, hydraulics, and the refrigerations, air conditioning systems, then the steam, the boilers. So we study everything. And on board of a ship, most of the ships having their own generator. So the power will be produced by the own generators and the power distributions. That's why we are talking about more about the electrical supplies and distributions. And a lot of electronics are involved because the vessels are nowadays with a lot of automations. So automatically a lot of computer programs and the PLCs are involved in the automations. That's why you're talking about electronic as well. And furthermore, why we study about the steam generation. All the vessels, most of the vessels has got their own steam generation for heating purposes, or it can be big oil tankers where you find steam driven turbines are there for your cargo pump. Cargo pumps are nothing but to discharge the cargo. In an oil tanker, you have to discharge a liquid cargo, so they use similar pumps. So for that, they use a steam driven pump. So that's why he's talking about, we are learning more on the steam generation. So all the ships will be having boilers. So that is why we're studying about how the steam is being generated and what all ways and how it will be distributed. So based on this, it's a kind of all engineering aspects you're studying about. Furthermore, to add, we do produce the same freshwater on board of ship. So the freshwater also won't be available. So on board of a ship, we produce the same freshwater, we sterilize it. So we do have our own. The same way of how the we develop our own power, same way we have our own freshwater generator monitoring. And air conditioning system and refrigeration is mainly studying about the ship needs to travel maybe sometimes 15 days voyage, sometimes 20 days voyage, point A to point B, sometimes 1 week. So all the food needs to be stored. So we have a big refrigeration compartment. So that's why all the food, meat room and fish room, they're all stored at a -degree temperatures, and the vegetables in the dairy are around the +degree temperatures, around 5 or 6 degree temperatures they do maintain. So that's the reason we're studying about refrigeration on the marine engineering. Of course, then next comes air conditioning. All the accommodation is centralized air conditioning systems. So that is one of the reason we are studying about. So the engineers on board only will be maintaining the complete cabin temperatures that start from the bridge till the bottom of all the cabins. So as per the climate change of the outside, so all the temperatures to be monitored and managed by the engineers. So that is the reason we are studying about the air conditioning system. So in this aspect, if we come across, we study all this aspect, plus we do study more on the practical skills also. So all the engineers knows how to do a welding, how to do a machining, how to do the lathe machine part. So it's a kind of a more practical also is involved. So we do teach more on the theory and as well as on the practical in this particular program. So that is a unique of a marine engineer, where you find they learn all the aspects of the engineering. That includes even the pneumatic, hydraulics, because many of the systems like on board of a ship, the complete steering gear. Steering means how do you steer the ship? That completely works on your hydraulics. And say for example, if you have bulk carrier, we do require a crane to transfer all the cargoes. Then that works on the hydraulics and all the ropes. Normally, when the vessel comes to the ship, you have to pass the ropes and you have to keep the vessel alongside in the berth. Then that is also operated on the hydraulics. So you find hydraulics also involved on that. So it's not only more on the electrical part, hydraulic is also involved. And most of the like for the maintenance purposes, we do require service air, because the ship is made up of metal. We have to do a regular maintenance of that to prevent the rust, and painting and everything need to be done. So there are a lot of pneumatic tools are involved. That's one of the reason we have the pneumatics or your pneumatic systems, compressors we involved. So in this aspect, you see, we are working on the compressors, we are working on hydraulic pumps, we are working on the power generation generators. Apart from that, we have a complete main engine which drives the main thrust to the ship. So as per that, the vessel has been running. So this is about the about what the engineering, marine engineering about. So now let's go into this particular program. This particular program is about marine engineering program for the management. So as I told, one of the important requirement is this marine medical certificate. So marine medical certificate is very important for this, because physical fitness is important, as we require like physical fitness, visual acuity and peripheral and color vision, depth of perception, hearing sensitivity, and medical assessment will be only be completed by a medical examiner recognized by the Transport Canada. So this is very, very important for this particular program. So this comes under the program requirement. So why we are talking about this medical fitness is important on this is, the reason behind this is, once you are able to have fitness there, then only you can go and perform the work on board. Say for example, you are having some kind of assistance required, immediately any kind of a shore assistance cannot be given to the particular seafarer who is there having those kind of medical issues. So all the people who are there cannot join the shipping industry. So who are all medically fit, then they can join. That's the reason behind it's a safety for the seafarer. That's the reason we want to be sure that the medical fitness plays a vital role for joining this particular program. So this is basically for the admission requirement I already discussed, and anyway I'll repeat it one more time. So this marine engineering prerequisite is admission requirement is a marine engineering diploma or a certified officer. Certified officer means on for a marine engineer, you have 4 engineers, normally a chief engineer, second engineer, third engineer, and the fourth engineer. So mostly you find the third engineer and fourth engineers, they are all operational engineers. And the second engineer and the chief engineer, they come under the management level. So what is the requirement? What they're saying to say is certified as an officer in charge means it's an operational engineer. Either you could have been sailed as a third engineer or you could have sailed as a fourth engineer. That's absolutely fine for the requirement of this. So that's way it's been classified. So that is what the meaning of officer in charge. It means you should be either third engineer or it should be a fourth engineer, and with 6 months of sea time, or plus with either you should have sailed as an engineer or should have done this marine engineering technology diploma program. That's a 2.5 years program. So either one of them. So then comes the international students, and then we have, I already discussed about the marine medical certificates. So it's very, very important. We should have that. And then next comes the portfolio development. Portfolio development is normally once you come into this program, we do help on to how do you create a portfolio. So thereby we help to go for any kind of an interview to seek any of the employers. So normally every year, this particular college, we have a career fair somewhere in the March first week. So during that time, this portfolio development will be very handful to the students. So they do prepare this portfolio, and then that can be circulated to all the employees. Employees do come, and we'll have a lot of interviews will be done. So the placements are done during every year. March first week is a standard period for us. So all the industry people will be here. So then that's a very good time. So that is one of the reason we mentioned that is portfolio development. Then next, let's go more into the program as such. So this particular program is further like it's a prerequisite because 2.5 years program, and then we go on to this 1.5 years program. What are the benefits of doing this particular program is, as I discussed, we already have a third engineer and fourth engineer. And as per Transport Canada, what's the requirement is if you want to be from the operation level engineers to go to a management level, say for example a class 2 engineer, then you have to write a Transport Canada certificate of competency exam. So then only you will be given as a second engineer after a certain amount of sea time. Say for example you are a fourth engineer sailing on board a ship. If you have almost 2 years of experience of a sailing, then you can go and appear for your certificate of competency for second engineer level from the TC. So after you have that, then only you can be promoted to management level from operation level. After the second engineer, then again you should have a certain amount of sea time, say for example 18 months or 2 years of a requirement. Once you are done that sailing period, then you have got more experience, then you can go for your chief engineer exams. So then you can be promoted after that chief engineer exams has been completed with the TC. So this particular course helps in to credit most of the important course programs. So if you are doing this particular program, if you are already a fourth engineer, you want to go for second engineer certificate of competency. There are a lot of programs, or a lot of courses are being exempted or being credited. Exempted means, or it can be credited. Say for example, if you don't do this particular program, you are fourth engineer, you already done 2 years of experience, you want to go for a TC for your second engineer management level, they will tell you, okay, now you have to write 5 or 6 particular courses you have to clear. So all those things you have to do, like say for example, thermodynamics, mechanics, engineering drawing, and naval architecture, ship constructions, all those things also you have to write during your class 2 when you're going for a certificate of competency in the management program. If you've done this all is being credited based on this particular program. So thereby you don't have to do the studies again. Once you have done this, only you have to give only 2 particular course you have to give. That is, one is marine engineering knowledge, and marine engineering knowledge we call it as a general. Another one is marine engineering knowledge is a motor. Motor means lot of related to yours engineering or mechanical stuff. So this is very easy to do. The issue most of the times happens is the people have done the college, and after a long period, once you go back to study about thermodynamics and mechanical engineering principle, it becomes very difficult for the people to cope up with the, the gap is becoming 4 5 years to to bring back all their physics and principles, to remember all those things, and to recollect it, it becomes very very difficult. So that's why we always recommend whoever is doing this particular program, it's very handful, so that you don't have to go and work very hard when you're going for your management programs with the TC, certificate of competency. So until unless you have a certificate of competency, you will never be able to climb the ladder on your ladder scale. From the third engineer to second engineer, you have to have certificate of competency from TC. That's a very important requirement. Now let's see about what all this is a 1.5 years particular program. So we'll see what all particular courses we'll be doing it. So if you see like applied mechanics and applied thermodynamics. So this particular course only more helps you out to understand more on your steam. How do you generate the steam, and what are the basic principles of the steam, and little bit of applied mechanics helps you on the hydraulic part, how the fluid will be working on to that. So that will be give you a basic fundamental of your understanding. So the theory part will be mostly covered on this applied mechanics and this thermodynamics. So thermodynamics also will be slightly involved on your how do you the main air compressor, refrigeration systems, where the compressions and expansions are involved. You find most of them are thermodynamics will be covered on this particular course. The next one is a naval architecture. So the naval architecture, why we should know is, as a chief engineer, once you climb up the ladder, you will be the person in charge of everything, of any kind of a structural damage, anything happens. So the chief engineer needs to evaluate on a technical aspect. So the chief engineer will be the only person as a technical representative between the ship and the shore. It can be a classification society or it can be the office. Only the chief engineer will be eligible to assess the situation and tell them that what kind of a damage is happened and how we can rectify it. So if something has been proposed, only he can able to understand and implement it. So based on this, you require to have a basic depth of knowledge of naval architecture. So how the ship design is being made, why this frame is required, what kind of a construction has been made for a bulk carrier ships, what kind of a changes has been made for a container ships, how a oil tanker vessel has been made. And say, for example, if you're going to take LPG and LNG, and we are going to take the cargo somewhere around minus 230 or minus 240. So sub-zero degree temperatures, what kind of a metallurgy will be used? How the constructions will be used for that? So for that, you require to have a technical knowledge. So that's why you are studying about this naval architecture. Then comes the marine engineering knowledge, the general, and then the marine engineering knowledge of motor. So these two are morely all the same. The general knowledge is completely studying about various machineries on board of a ship. So various machineries means auxiliary machineries. So as an engineer, normally we have two machineries. One is the main engine and then another is an auxiliary engine. So the main engine, only that particular engine is only for the propulsion system, and the auxiliary engine is for all the auxiliary requirement for the ship as well as for the people on board. Say auxiliary machineries, it can be your air conditioning system comes under auxiliary systems. If you want to produce freshwater generator, that comes under the auxiliary machinery systems. So all those auxiliary systems normally we studied on this general engineering knowledge. And when you come about engineering knowledge on the motor, it means exclusively you will study only about the main engine, where different types of main engine. It can be a slow speed engine or it can be a high speed engine. So only for the propulsion systems. So we'll be going more on depth on that. Since we're talking about a lot of main engine and other aspects, so when we produce electricity, how do we going to manage on that? So that's where you're going to study about electrotechnology. So electrotechnology will tell you about how the power has been produced and generated and distributed. So you have a particular generator has got to produce a generator, and then the power distribution till the last machinery where it reach. So all those aspects we'll be studying on this electrotechnology. And with the latest communications and automations are involved, like say for example from the bridge control, you are able to control the complete access of many other machineries. So we do need an automation. So that is where automation instrumentation control comes into play, because nowadays the technology has been evolved more. So we're talking about unmanned missionary space. Certain ships is being classified as an unmanned missionary space where after evening 5 o'clock, nobody will be there. All the missionaries will be able to be managed and controlled automatically. So to manage everything in automatically, you require a lot of controls in mechanisms. So that is where you're going to study about a lot of automations. Say for example, one of the example is, say for example, if my boiler needs to start at a certain time, it will start and it will stop at a certain time as per the pressure it has got it. Just like this kind of an example. A lot of things are there, cutting in and cutting off to maintain a certain amount of pressures. So these are the main core subjects. And then this is almost the same thing which you're going to study on your second year also. Second year also we see the same thermodynamics. Instead of naval architecture, little bit change of ship constructions you'll be studying. Then general engineering knowledge steam. So steam means you'll be studying about exclusively about the boiler. So what different types of boilers, and then how the steam is being produced, how it is being distributed. And say for example, if it's an oil tanker, there are oil tankers who got a lot of steam driven turbines are there. So you have to have a high pressure boilers. So maybe 14 bar. I mean, there are high pressure boilers, low pressure boilers for all the bulk air ships, just only for the heating purposes. So mostly steam is being used only for the heating purposes on board, and if it is only in few ships where it has been used for driving a particular machinery or a particular pump, then yeah, high pressure boilers are used. So to understand the boiler, so that is the reason they be studying on this marine engineering knowledge on the steam. Then again the same, or rest is all the same. Apart from that, one last one will be your maritime law and the ship's business. So we should know about what all the regulations in the maritime industry, because there are a lot of Canadian maritime laws there, particularly only applicable for only the coastal waters of Canada. And then some are internationals are there. Say for example, IMO regulates all the international waters. So you should have, if say for example, a vessel is going from Halifax to Liverpool in UK, so once it crosses the international waters, whatever the rules and regulations set by IMO is nothing but International Maritime Organization. So we have to comply with all those kind of regulations. And once you reach to UK, to Liverpool, then we have to comply with their regulations. So our seafarers should know all the regulations, and that's what we're going to study about on the maritime law and ship business. And the last one is the leadership and management skill. So what you're going to study on the leadership is, as a leader, how are you going to handle the ships? So on board, you find a very good teamwork is required, because we have only few people. Say for example, in engine room, you can say only 6 or 7 people will be there at the maximum. So how are you going to understand differences in the conflict and difference of opinion, and to work out as a team? Then only you can work. Everyone will be having different concerns and different point of view, but then on board we have to work as a team to achieve, so that the ship is being run smoothly from point A to point B. And if there is any kind of a breakdown or any kind of a concern comes in, everyone has to chip in and with the common goal of fixing the issue. So for that, the leadership quality and management is required. There are different types of leaderships are there. So we teach them that what type of a leadership will be more applicable to run the ship. So that is what is the leadership and management, and how to handle the people. If somebody is having kind of a stress, because most of the problem with the seafarers is they do go away from the ship, I mean from the family. So that itself creates for some people a lot of stress on them. So if somebody is having, your colleague is having a stress to how to handle them, because you have to handle them. They also has to work there, because each one has got their own responsibility to work. Nobody is there to substitute each other there. So that is where this management and the leadership courses particularly help them how to handle different situation, stressful conditions. So definitely in bad weather conditions, or in can be any kind of a stressful condition, how to handle those things. So that's what we teach about. These are the main important courses what normally we handle on this particular program. Okay. So this particular program, you will find both, it will be theory as well as more on the practical also. So how do we show on the practical? Because we cannot, there are few practical things we can show them, like there are a lot of pumps and the air compressors, machines are there, we can show them to the workshop. Apart from that, we do have propulsion plant. Like normally we call it as a engine room simulator. So engine room simulator is typically we do recreate like an engine room. So we do have all kind of programs. So we create problems. We put the students there to solve the problem so that they exactly face whatever the pipeline diagram, everything in an virtual world or something kind of visually they can operate it, everything by the computers. So it's typically, if you see with the latest technology, what they're calling is all the machine learning concept. So engine room simulator is something you can relate to the machine learning concept where the person can go on the depth. Say for example, if there is any problem in the engine room, he can literally go and activate a pump, stop the pump, start the pump. He can operate the valves. So everything on a digital format. So if he makes a mistake, it'll create an alarm and it'll trip. If he makes a mistake, there can be a power shutdown also will happen. Even engine can be stopped. Whatever things you make a mistake, you can be reflected exactly. So that becomes a very good learning, for the students, so that they learn all their mistakes over here rather than going and doing the mistakes on board of a ship that can be prevented. And for the depth of understanding of the knowledge, that gives them a very good understanding what is being expected from them from the industry. That is very, very important on board. When you go on board and work, industry requirements something is always we expect. A employer expects a certain amount of skill sets. So they expect this kind of a skill set. So that this particular engine room simulator helps them. And we have all experienced faculty. And say for example, I have worked around in the shipping industry for more than 25 years, and I worked in the shore also as a technical superintendent. So we find it all the only chief engineers will be mostly teaching them in our particular college. So these are all the experience, we can share all our practical experience to students, so that gives them a better op to understand the knowledge and the depth. So these are few examples, like you can see one on the fire hoses. You can see that they're using this fire retardant um, wear suits and everything, because we do have firefighting skills, so that when we teach them what has to be done. It's called an advanced firefighting course. So when they do this advanced firefighting, a real fire comes, they should be able to handle. So the training has been given to them. And if the down below you can see the water and the people are there in the immersion shoots. So literally we tell them, like in a survival craft, say for example, if the vessel is having some kind of an emergency or you have to rescue somebody else, what all things you'll be doing it. And if you see in this particular bottom where is an engine room simulator, so we just tell them what I just now explained, all the practical stuff. We have always have an engine control room, we have an engine room, and the top side is where exactly is our engine room workshop. So all the all the mechanical and electrical trainings, physically all the things, engine has been given, they can open the engine, they can box up the engine back. So that is how it has been designed. So once okay, this is again furthermore on this. This is a particular cylinder head. You can see that the student is dismantling it. So basically, they are doing the overhauling of one of the auxiliary engine, and they do work on this drilling machines. So as we discussed, we do all the fittings, lathe machines, drilling. We do gas cutting and gas welding and brazing. We are doing it. So different, all kind of skill set which will be required. Why we are all the engineers has been taught, because this is you won't be having any shore support immediately when you really required on board. So all the engineers should know all the skills, because you are out at sea immediately. Those things cannot be given to you, so you should be able to handle for some time. Then once the ship comes to the shore, then further more assistance can be given. So to fix all this temporarily or whatever things needs to be done, they have to do it on their own. So that is the reason you're studying about different engineering aspects. And this is the only marine engineering you find all the engineering aspects you'll be studying. Say for example, if you're studying on mechanical engineering, you won't be studying more depth on the electrical and electronics or an automation. If you're studying electrical engineering, you won't be studying much on the mechanical stuff. So marine engineering is combined of everything, all the engineering aspects. So once the students have been successfully, cleared this program, so they can go worldwide. They can go on any ship. It can be an oil tanker, it can be a container vessel, it can be a ferry, it can be passenger vessel. Worldwide, they can go. They can go on the coastal. And let me tell you about one of the main advantages of this particular profession. So what are the main advantage of this particular profession is you can work, it's a 1 week on and 1 week off. It can be 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off. It can be 1 month on and 1 month off, 2 month on and 2 month off. So you can be sailing only in the coastal of Canadian waters, or if you wanted, you can go, you like to see the world, you can go on the international waters. I have seen almost all the countries. I'm so fortunate that I've seen the complete South America. I've been to Europe, I've been to Australia, I've been to Japan, I've been to most of the countries around the world. When you go on the world, right? So if you like to see and explore the world, that is one of the opportunity you can go on that. Another flexibility is there. As an engineer, marine engineer, you can take a break. Say for example, you want to take a break for a year, you can always take a break for a year, then you can join back in the same rank. There is always opportunity, the same thing. So the company, you can the thing is, you all is supposed to do is, I have some kind of requirement at home, so I am taking a break for a year, and then you can join back after a year. I have done it personally on my side. Like, I have taken 1.5 years due to my personal issues and my family requirements. So I took a break for 1.5 years, and then I joined back in the same rank as a chief engineer. So these kind of flexibilities are there on this marine engineering professional. Another advantage is, you can stay wherever you are. Say for example, you can stay whichever part in Canada. That's absolutely fine. The company will take care of you from your doorstep back to go to the ship and then back to the home. It's all companies concerns. They will, handle everything, all your charge. I mean, all the way they'll pay you from your door, from your home back to coming back to home after your ship visit, or you're done your contract or whatever is there. So thereby you don't have to relocate yourself to the job where it is located. So those concerns are not there. You can stay wherever you wanted. So that's added benefit on this. So one benefit is there where you can find, you can have a break. Another thing is you can stay wherever you are. So that way, like say for example, most of shipping companies works on the Great Lakes, so you don't have to relocate yourself. You can stay even in Port Hawkesbury also, you can stay in Halifax also, you can stay in Sydney also. It doesn't matter where you are. All the transportation will be taken care by the company with insurance also. It's not only that, they also cover your insurance, including everything. So you will be working like a contract basis, but on an annual. So if you calculate on your vacation period, you can very well plan your vacations. So that way, you are working in a per annum, you'll be working only 6 months, and 6 months almost your will be vacation period will be there, but you are paid for a complete full year. So if you calculate, that is one of the benefit of this professional. Another, it's not that it's not going to be dead end. So because once you become a chief engineer, you have your doors are open. You can go and work anywhere else. You can work as a faculty in any of the maritime colleges, or you can go as a surveyor in the Transport Canada, or you can go and join on any of your shipping companies as a technical superintendent, where you'll be working as a manager. So you can diversify yourself in many jobs. It's not only one job you're related. You can go and work in many aspects. So these are all the more advantage of this. And if you really wanted, you can start up your own business also, because you already done all the mechanical aspects, so you exactly know all the things. Say if you want, like all the air conditioning, refrigeration systems, you know in and out, so you can always do all those kind of workshop kind of a things, or you can start your own business also, and it's very easy to handle and manage. You can be 1 week on, 1 week off, or 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. You can easily handle your own business also. This all helps in the later part of your career. The another advantage of this is, I already told you before, that this helps you to go on to climbing up the ladder. The chief engineer and the second engineer, there are a lot of programs. I mean, a lot of courses is being exempted, or it's been created based on this particular program, 1.5 years. Thermodynamics, electrical engineering and electrical technology. Sorry, and then naval architecture. All those courses are being exempted. Otherwise, you have to write for your exams on the TC. So this is the main advantage of doing this particular program. That's what you always tell them. Whoever is doing this marine engineering technology program, which is 2.5 years, we always recommend them to follow through that and continue this particular program so that they don't lose the touch of studies. And once they're done this, they have to do only those 2 exams, which they can easily clear. They can be a chief engineers. The idea of this particular engineering is you have to reach the chief engineer. Then you got a more diversified professional and you will have a better future. And you will be you can, demand of what you really wanted, where you want to work, rather than the job is demanding on you. So once you reach this particular profession, you can demand really what you wanted. And this particular is a career path. So, and let me explain the complete system so that you can understand. Um, if anybody is joining from the high school, they can do a marine engineering technology diploma program that is 2.5 years. And then after you do this 2.5 years, that includes 180 days of a sailing. Then you can go for a Transport Canada and you become a fourth engineer. So you can see a fourth engineer salary starts from the 70K to 100. It's starting salary for the fourth engineer. So once you're done with that, then maybe after 2 years, you have all the sailing experience, more experience. Either you can do this particular program after you become a fourth engineer immediately, or else you can take your time, maybe after 2 years or 3 years, once you have sailing period, you can come and do this particular program. This will be helping you to go to second engineer, especially when you're going for Transport Canada. So we see the sea time as per the Transport Canada. So that is where we are heading towards. So if you do this particular program of marine engineering management advanced diploma, so you can easily, it helps out maximum courses or subjects will be removed or it can be credited. So you have to do a class 2 certification, then you become a second engineer. Second engineer pay scale starts from 90K to 135. And then for the chief engineer, it starts from up to 200. Now it is all, maybe this is all, the pay scale is all based on 2019. So if you compare now, they must be pretty high now by this time. Maybe you can add up few 10,000s or 20,000s, you can add up more on each pay scales what we are showing right now. So that is the marine engineering career path. So this main particular course helps him to become as a second engineer and chief engineer. That's what this particular management program helps you out. And this is the tuition fee. So once you see the tuition fees per year, it is 3,620 per year, and the college fees is 584. And this for your domestic students. If it is going to be an international, is going to be 11,690 per year, and 2,340 of the next is the college fees. And apart from this, these are all the additional program cost that includes all your textbooks and overalls and the marine medical and any other things which you require to buy. Like say, for example, if you want to work on the workshop, you have to have your own tools. So all those certain tools which you require, all those things you need to buy. So that will be an additional cost of 2,000 will be required as an additional program cost.
Great. Thank you, Raj. Thanks for sharing all that information about the program with everyone. We also do have ways to help fund your education. So there's scholarships, bursaries, and awards of up to $4 million given out by NSCC each year. They're available to incoming, current, and graduating students based on a range of criteria such as financial need, career interests, leadership, volunteer experience, and academic standing. I myself got 2 awards when I was in I got 2 scholarships when I was in university, and it really helped me to concentrate on my studies because I already had that part of my tuition paid for. So I highly recommend applying to any scholarship, award, or bursary that you're eligible for and get some help with your funding. You can check out more at nscc.ca/student awards to see what ones are available for this program. And also the ABUC project, which is the department that I work for. So through the Ocean Protection Plan, funding is available for women and Indigenous peoples pursuing marine training at NSCC at our Strait Area campus. So we do have an agreement with Transport Canada that goes until 2027 that will hopefully be renewed as well. So anyone who identifies as a female or an Indigenous student can receive the Ocean Dream Award for 90% tuition coverage for this program, along with the Ocean Living Award, which is $66 a day of living expenses for women and Indigenous students as well. In this picture here, at the top, you can see all the women that competed in the marine skills competition, and below there are students making medicine pouches for the Indigenous knowledge program. So becoming a student, you would apply, and there's a $40 application fee. Then if you are accepted to the program, you can accept your program seat for $200 deposit, and then you would begin your classes for this program in January. And you can apply now for offer of admissions to qualified applicants are made in application completion order, and find out more at nscc.ca/apply. You can also stay connected with the Nautical Institute on social media. So on Facebook, we are NSCC Nautical Institute, and on Instagram at NSCC Nautical. And if you have any further questions that you didn't get to ask during this presentation, you can definitely ask them to me. My name's Jessica Lang, Laing. My phone number is 782-370-0403. And you can text or call me at any time, and I'll get back to you during my regular business hours. You can also email me at jessica.lang@nscc.ca. And if they're program related, I will forward your questions to Raj, and he can be able to answer them for you as well. Thank you so much for joining us today for today's info session. It was great having you here, and I hope you learned more about this program. Take care. Bye.